1, 2, 3, 4. Chop, chop, chop.
It's cure of the what now?
Gather the ingredients.
Cure of the what now?
Not much time to prep before it's time to start the show.
Oh!
Guests are arriving.
Cure of the what now?
Everybody's smiling.
Cure of the what now?
A tasty party starting. Now it's time to go. Woo!
Ooh, served hot and fresh.
Itadakimasu. Hello, fellow distinguished dinner guests, and welcome to
Episode 22 of Cure of the What Now?
the one show where we know, get that out of your mouth. That's not the dinner course. My name is Kat, and I'm just a MILF in a suit who's actually a cat.
Wow, fantastic. And no one would guess, because you don't, end your sentences with, meow or anything like that, you know?
Right?
Like one of the dead giveaways.
It's an incredible disguise. I don't have the same initials as a cat that we've seen wandering around here.
Excellent, excellent. And I am your co-host, Joel, and also, I'm very excited to learn how to make omelets, so I'm just gonna crack these eggs.
No! You know, funny story, that actually did happen to me. I exploded some eggs when I was learning to make eggs.
Okay, I mean, how old were you at the time?
I was 6, and the egg exploded upward all over my face, and my parents, instead of helping, laughed and laughed.
I mean, I don't think they were right to do that, but I think it would be hard to fight that impulse, you know? But my point is, when we talk about Doki Doki, there's a considerable age difference between 6 and 12.
You're telling me Mackenzie Mack isn't 6. They're anime girls. They could be any age. Who even knows?
Yeah, in one of the Fire Emblem games, there was a dragon who was actually secretly There was!
No, we're not. No. Joel, do we have any news or announcements this week?
We do. At the top of the hour, I want to make sure that I say this. For the next episode of Cure of the What Now? Yum. Oh, I forgot the yum. Anyways, for the next episode, we'll also be covering the All-Stars movie that takes place around episode 6 of Doki Doki. That is PreCure All-Stars New Stage 2. And that's it. I don't have the subtitle in front of me, but there can only be one All-Stars New Stage 2. So that's the one we'll be watching, along with all of the other shows. I also think I'm going to risk the internal damage that I will suffer by trying to force myself to watch 4 episodes of Max Heart. I am getting very bored of Max Heart. So I might, next episode, I might just be surprise, I watched a bunch of episodes so I can get that much quicker.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I will be surprised.
Absolutely.
I'll sit down with my little bowl of meats and rice, and I'll be like, Joel, yes, will we be watching some Max Heart with dinner? And you'll be like, it's over. It's done.
I watched all 40 episodes that were left in the docket and asked me what happened. What happened? I lost 40 episodes worth of my life. The other thing that I do want to point out, and this is just a dumb little vanity complaint type thing. When we talk about Delicious Party, we will mention that they all got fabulous dresses and suits this episode. And I think I've talked about my process of making the sticker sheets and the thumbnails for these episodes. It's a really simple process, and I imagine other people who do thumbnails do something similar. But step 1, I watch the episode and I take screenshots of any moment where something funny or interesting or intense happens. I get rid of the subtitles so that I don't have to mess with that in editing. Then once I've gotten all my screenshots, I one by one put them in Paint 3D. There might be a better program for it, and I use the magic tool to get rid of the background. And then I size them so they're about the right size for Discord emotes and so that the sticker sheet isn't too big, and then I copy paste them into the empty sheet with the transparent background. That becomes the sticker sheet. Sometimes, when characters are given fancy dresses or new outfits, such as in the Max Heart movie, in which Nagisa and Hikaru and the other one, Honoka, all got fancy dresses, the camera does this kind of pan-up shot. And so I can't get a picture of them in their dress in full detail, but what I can do is I can take multiple screenshots and kind of stitch them together. So usually I get one picture that's the waist and the legs, I get another one that's the torso and the arms, and then I get another one that's the head, and then I stack them on top of each other snowman style. In this episode of Delicious Party, it did the pan up, but the characters moved. Like they would do the swishing of the dress so that when I went to put the middle part on top of the bottom part, they would be off slightly. And so I just want to say that I spent extra time to try to make them as close as possible to a single image. But if you zoom in and you look at like every pixel, you might notice that this pixel, which should be red-orange, is more of an orangish red.
Joel did do a really good job. I zoomed in and I looked for the seams, and I had trouble finding them on most of the girls. So
Excellent.
And you know I'm a stickler for...
You can be very anal retentive with details, making sure that everything is exactly right.
Yes.
So, well, okay. I think that about does it for that.
Yeah. I believe we do a discussion question at the top of the episode.
We do. What if we did a PreCure season based off of race cars?
I would love that. Okay. You know how I've been advocating for there to be a dinosaur-themed season?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a race car or a vehicle-themed season would be cool, too. I will say, okay, we're going to get into a little bit of, like, the science of gender here, folks.
The science?
So, if I go too far, I'm sure Joel will edit it out, and this will all be very funny bonus bloopers and extras. But they did a study recently on, I believe it was bonobos, but it may have been some other type of chimp. And they put out toys. They put out dolls and, like, things that were traditionally girly toys. And they put out race cars and things that were traditionally boy toys. And they found
boy toy.
Yeah. They found that these chimps, without any sort of preconceived notion of gender, still played with the toys that we would assume lined up with their gender. The young male chimps were more interested in the active toys that had moving parts, and the young female chimps were more interested in the ones that, like, resembled babies. So I just thought that was really interesting. That said, I say all that because I know somebody's going to be like, well, girls don't like race cars. Yeah, okay, maybe broadly girls don't, but some girls do. I like race cars. Kamen Rider Drive was a gosh dang masterpiece, and I would not object to a car-themed PreCure season.
Yeah, like, this isn't a political podcast, and as we've kind of skirted around our own personal thoughts about politics and social justice topics, I guess you could call them, I will say that because PreCure is a show aimed primarily towards girls, I think that there is a little bit of, like, what's appropriate for the gender and the sex of girls or whatever. And I mean the genetic, not the other kind of sex. But I think that there's a certain level of societal influence when, you know, if a boy says, I want to play with that doll, some parents, not all, but some will say, like, oh, no, that's not appropriate for you, and then the child learns, okay, that's not for me, or whatever. And I think that there are more people these days who are a little bit more like, oh, play with whatever you want, it's okay. Boys can be more quote-unquote girly, girls can be more quote-unquote boys, trans people exist, there's a whole spectrum, it's all complicated. I highly doubt Toei would ever do a race car season or a vehicle season because I do think that that's stereotypically boys, but I don't think it would immediately flop as some people might assume it would.
Would you make the fairy just a little car?
I would give him or her a little car that they drive around, and their name would be like named Turbo or something, and they'd be like always just too caffeinated. You know, people would be like, please slow down, calm down.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's fantastic. What would you theme this season around?
You know, that's a really good point.
Because the motif, I'm assuming, is the race cars.
Yeah, probably something related to, like, speed and, like, taking your time and doing things right. Maybe what I would probably do for the theme is I would put an emphasis on putting effort into honing your skills. Like, that's too many words. You would need to, like, kind of shrink it down a little bit. But basically just, like, you know, if you want to be good at something, you have to practice it a lot. And so maybe the main character is someone who's kind of quote-unquote bad at everything, but they try their best. So they'd be a little bit like Shirogane from Kaguya-sama in that sense.
Oh, I like that. I love that.
How about you? What are you thinking for, like, I don't know, maybe the villains or the color scheme or something?
Okay, so hear me out. The villains...
Boomers.
I was gonna make a Roy Mutes joke. I was just
gotcha. They're robot. They're androids that want to take over the world.
Man, the more I try to break Kamen Rider Drive down into its parts so that I can pretend I'm coming up with something of my own, it really had nothing to do with cars except that he had one.
Yeah, I think that's a problem with a lot of different Sentai, Kamen Rider, and PreCure seasons is they don't always have to do explicitly with what they say on the tin, kind of
And
thing.
I mean, it was more of visual dressing. It was more of a motif than it was a theme anyway, so it's fine, I guess, but that's funny to me. No, but in terms of the villains, I think for a season where your main motif is like cars and going fast and whatever, that's what it was. The Roy Muse were slowing everyone down.
That's right.
That's how they were related to cars. But I think the villains would be impediments in some way to people like getting to their goal, their destination.
Okay.
And so maybe like the giant monsters they summon are walls.
Oh, okay. I like that. If we were to go with the theme of like, putting in your effort and improving, whatever it is that you love, they could be like, they could feed off of insecurities in people who tell themselves like, oh, I'm not good enough. And in that sense, the main cure could be like the most kind of cheerleady out of them all. This is sounding a bit like Hugto from what I understand of Hugto, but
also
at the same time,
like Mana.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
The encouraging other people.
I think we're eventually going to run out of unique ideas. We already see this in Sentai and Kamen Rider. They have seasons where like the themes and the motifs are kind of similar to each other. How many dinosaur and how many car-themed Power Rangers have there been, or Sentai seasons have there been? So I'm all for giving every PreCure season its own unique identity, but I think in like 20 years they're going to be like, makeup? No, we already did makeup. Painting? We did painting. Frickin' twerking? No, we already did a twerking season. That was the 50th anniversary, Jim.
I'm sorry.
I think I'm gonna have to take my wife to the hospital. Something is happening, viewers, listeners.
What about, this is in the Toei boardroom, what if we had one of the girls... You're fired, Kevin.
What is this? Why get I want off this ride?
So does Kevin. I'm sorry. The spirit of bad jokes.
I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you, I'm editing that out. There's just going to be, what if, and there's just going to be the sound, and then I'm going to go, what the heck? And people are going to have no idea.
Can the Hummies falling sound be our new censor sound?
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that should have gone in news and announcements. We have we recorded the sweet PreCure episode, and it should be out now. So I'm kind of debating on YouTube right now. We have a playlist for our season 1 episodes, and we have a playlist for our season 2 episodes. I don't know if I'm going to put the sweet episode in the season 2 Cure of the What Now playlist. I'll probably put it in the bonus episode playlist, but it is available, and if Joel remembers, editing Joel, he will put a timestamp in the YouTube video somewhere in here.
Yeah, cool. And I mean, I think that gives us a good opportunity to move into the succinct summaries for the week. Can I throw out a succinct summary for Doki Doki?
Yes.
Just in general, where we left off for next week, the girls were sent to hell.
I think you're supposed to do the succinct summaries in chronological order, is kind of like how I understand how time works.
I don't care about the rest of it.
Okay.
I just wanted to get that line out. So, part of the reason we do the succinct summaries is to be like, this is what happened. Now let's discuss what we thought of it and what's going on to the future. So I was just really excited about this episode left off in kind of a scary place for our girls. Where can we go next? But I'll let you do proper succinct summaries for all of the shows we watched, because we watched a lot.
We watched a ton. We watched episode 20 of Delicious Party. We ended up watching 3 more episodes of Glitter Force Doki Doki in order to catch up. So we've now seen episodes 2 through 4. We also watched episodes 5 and 6 of Doki Doki PreCure. And we watched episodes... Oh, I'm going to have to double check. I think it was 22 and 23 of Max Heart PreCure.
Yes, and I can confirm those numbers are right because I updated the scratch pad when we had our little back and forth in person.
Oh, very exciting. Okay, cool. So, let's start
Let's just do them in order. Like, start with Delicious Party.
Absolutely. In Delicious Party 20, everyone is invited to come to Kokone's family's fancy restaurant, and Yui and Ran, being the gremlins that they are, being kind of, they're not exactly rude, but they're not exactly refined. Amane freaks out and she goes, oh gosh, she's going to embarrass all of us. I need to teach these creatures how to behave properly. Mary suggests going out to buy dresses when he realizes that Ran and Yui are kind of being overloaded with all of this etiquette information. Kokone is able to explain to the two gremlin girls. I'm just going to call them gremlin girls, even if that's not exactly true in Yui's case. But he tells the gremlin girls, like, hey, having good etiquette is will help bring smiles to people. And Yui goes, oh, I like bringing smiles to people. And then that's what makes it click. And Amane realizes, like, oh, I'm lacking. You know, I try to just, like, drill this into their heads like some kind of army sergeant or something, you know? And so she and Amane have a moment where they each thank each other for being amazing, and then they all get amazing dresses, and then the episode ends, basically, and it's confirmed pretty much that Kokone and Amane are a couple now, more or less.
They dance together, and it's very precious.
They dance together. They have a moment where they like talk to each other like as the sun's setting, and I can't remember who says what, but like one of them blushes. Like, it could not be more heavily coded as these girls like each other if they tried. So that's my assumption, is that they're trying to plant the seeds of that variety. Let's see.
In Doki Doki 5 and 6?
Doki Doki 5 and 6. In the last episode, Alice/Clara. Alice is her Japanese name, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird because Alice is already an American name. Why did they change it for Doki Doki? But anyways, Alice was like, hey, did you notice that this girl, Makoto, is very similar to Cure Sword? Sorry. Her symbol is the spade. Why don't we go and try and figure out what to do? Alice owns the company that it records Makoto's performances. So they're able to get in that way. Mana just, like, charges straight up to her and goes, hey, it's super cool that you're a PreCure, huh? And she goes, what are you talking about? Get out of here. You're ruining the performance. And Mana realizes that maybe she went a little bit overboard and she wasn't considering how Makoto would be feeling. And so at the end of the episode, they shake hands, but we still don't know who Cure Sword is. We just know that Mana and Makoto are now getting along a little bit better. In the next episode, due to Makoto having all of these celebrity duties, you know, radio shows and TV spotlights and stuff, she has to do a cooking segment, and it just so happens that she is recording at Mana's dad's studio, at his restaurant. I think it's called, like, the Pig's Tail or something. I don't remember exactly. Through it, we learn that Makoto basically doesn't know how to human, and Mana teaches her how to cook and is really friendly with her or whatever. And then, at the end of the episode, we find out that, in fact, Makoto is Cure Sword. She transforms right in front of them.
She's what?
And, more importantly, I called it! We watched episode 5 on, like, on Monday, I think, and then we watched episode 6 on the next day, on Tuesday. And between watching 5 and the next episode 6, I went, hang on a second. Could the manager be the cat fairy? Because they get a letter from the manager that's signed DB, and wasn't the fairy named like Dobby in the first episode? And also, we saw the silhouette of a cat dropping off the letter. Why would the manager give a letter to the cat to deliver unless she is also the cat? And that was true. She is, in fact, the cat that helps transform Makoto into Cure Sword. They defeat the disdain for that episode, but then Hot Grandpa shows up, Daddio, as I'm going to start calling him, and he goes, hey, cool, I was waiting for a moment to strike like this, and then he opens a portal to what I choose to believe is hell, and the girls fall in, and that's where the episode ends, as Kat already alluded to.
He was like, why would I fight you when I could just send you to hell?
Yeah, they asked him for his name, he's like, you don't need to know my name, this is the last time we'll ever see each other. So not only is he a hot grandpa, but he's also just metal as heck, you know?
Absolutely.
And then,
did anything happen in Max Heart this week?
They discovered the long-lost plot of Max Heart.
Woo!
Yeah, it was actually, it took like 70-some episodes. Let me just double-check the wiki really quick. It only took 71 episodes of PreCure for us to finally get a moment that to me felt like Nagisa was doing something, was being proactive and chasing a goal. That is too long in my book to wait for a character to do something. I frequently complain about Futariwa and Max Heart, and Magical Girl Au, who we've been mentioning the last couple of weeks. They have been going through our backlog and catching up on all of our old episodes from season 1, and we started talking, and they mentioned that PreCure was unlike anything else that came before, or something like that. I thought that's what she was saying, and I said, can you explain that? And it turned out to be a miscommunication. She wasn't saying that PreCure is unlike anything that came before it. What they meant was it came out at a time when there was a bunch of Magical Girl shows. And so Toei might not have known that this show was going to be as successful as it was and didn't know that it would eventually become synonymous with Magical Girl, 5-10 years down the line. And so I guess you can look past its flaws because they might have thought that it was just going to be generic anime number 642 or whatever. But I think that a protagonist needs to have some kind of direction, some kind of motive, some kind of goal that they're trying to achieve. And if they are just told to go to a place and then they have to go to the place and then the plot happens around them and then they get told to go somewhere else, that's basically an NPC and that's not really interesting. And so that's why these 2 episodes were good, in my opinion, because, like I said, Nagisa and Honoka actually did a thing. What thing did they do? Okay, so I've been calling the blonde evil villain guy Dracula, because to me he looks like a Dracula. But there's a 4th general who hasn't actually fought the PreCure yet, who also looks kind of vampirish, so I'm going to call him Nosferatu, because I get the impression that he's the oldest and most powerful of the evil generals. Nosferatu attacks, and the girls try to use their strongest attack, and he's able to block it. They use their most powerful power of friendship, and it manages to scare him away, but they just barely scraped by, and they're like, how are we going to defeat him? And then Elder and the other one, Wisdom and Elder are like, hey, there might be a way for you to get more power, and they go on a quest to find a thing that will give them more power, and then the Nosferatu shows up and he drains the area around him of life and he becomes super powerful and he goes, I will destroy the planet. And Nagisa goes, we won't let you, we'll protect the planet. And that the pure heartedness of their energy and the hope that they have for the future summons the PreCure Sparkle Bracers, which allow them to punch even harder and defeat the bad guy. And those have all been your succinct summaries.
Beautifully summarized, my darling. Did you like this episode of Delicious Party?
Yes, this was my favorite episode of Delicious Party so far, just bar none.
Yeah, we harp on Max Heart a lot because nothing happens week to week. And I would say largely nothing happens in Delicious Party either. We're getting a little bit. You can tell Secretaru is getting fed up with Narcistoru failing, and that's probably going to come to a head in the next couple of episodes.
I was about to say, is she going to fire him?
Yes, exactly. But by and large, this is very much a slice of life show. But I think the difference is that the characters are just so engaging. I was like, how are they going to distinguish Amane and Kokone when they're both kind of the uptight, shy, quiet girls? And the way that they seem to have done that is Amane is a stickler for the rules. She wants everything to be correct. And Kokone is a lot more laid back about it. She's more about the friendship and the relationship she's built. And so the two of them play off of each other really well. Joel alluded to this in his summary, but Kokone x Yui is dead. Long live Kokone x Amane.
There's someone on Twitter, I believe that their @ is Swagoo2. And they post memes of PreCure all the time, and they have one that is a picture of Kokone/Spicy with each of the 3 girls saying, I keep pulling all these bitches, or something like that, right? I can't remember the exact phrasing. And I will say that she has had moments with each of the characters, but Kokone and Amane is it's really strong vibes. cannot mistake it for anything else vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. I also liked Amane in this episode says at one point, as expected, Kokone is perfect.
Yes, it's so good. They have a little section where Amane is trying to teach them manners, as I alluded to in the succinct summary, and Amane puts on glasses, and it is a very good look for her. And also, when she gives them multiple choice questions, and she'll have each of the energy fairies, or two of the energy fairies, demonstrate potential answers. You know, what do you do if you drop your napkin? You know, and Kome raises her hand and goes, I'd like another napkin, please. And Ran goes, I just reach down and pick up the napkin. And the girls have to vote on which fairy modeled the correct behavior, so they have like little sticks with their faces on it. It's so cute.
And I am going to steal that in modeling things, modeling skills for my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's a good, it was just funny all around. And I already alluded to this, the fact that they got pretty dresses and suits, because Takumi and the brothers Juan and Mitsuki and Mary are also there, and they get nice suits. There's just not much variety that men can wear in fashion, in my opinion, as far as if you're going to stick to traditionally masculine clothes.
Although, you know... So you say traditionally masculine, but you mean traditionally Western masculine, because traditionally masculine in Japan would be like yukatas or something like that. And so you could do a lot of variety for guys in those. They just don't really wear them anymore. And I do think that there's more that can be done with men's fashion than we commonly think about, but neither of us are big fashion people.
Yeah, and I mean, there's people making waves in the fashion community, men wearing different outfits and stuff, and I just recently watched a video about a couple of different people. One of them's an MMA fighter that's like being more quote-unquote feminine by wearing like nail polish, even though they do it so that their nails don't crack when they are brutally beating another person in the arena or whatever.
That's the manliest thing I can think of.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, I guess my point is that you don't get much variety in what those four are wearing. It's basically a white suit, a blue suit, a black suit, and a kind of crimson maroon suit for Mary. Whereas with the girls, you get more variety, and my gosh... who wore it best? They're not all wearing the same outfit, but Amane and Kokone really brought their A+ game for style points.
They did indeed. I really liked how like cute and soft Yui and Ran looked.
Yes.
But no, AU said something in the Discord about how they're a sucker for princely blue cures. And yeah, I loved Kokone's kind of prince-like dress.
Yes, it was so good.
Her outfit was excellent. Also, shout out to Ran trying to come to the fancy restaurant dressed as a furry.
And we found out her secret. Ran is a furry. They go to this fancy restaurant, and she finds a costume that makes her look like a panda. Like it's just a panda fursuit with the face exposed, because some fursuits have like the animal face as well. And Kokone has to be like, I don't know how easy it's going to be to wear that. What about this? And gives her panda pins in her hair. But Ran, living your best life, does not care what other people think of her, you know?
Absolutely. I feel like, you know, in an alternate universe where you were raised to maybe be a little less conscious of other people's attention, you would love to wear just like a big old animal onesie to a restaurant.
Huh, yeah, maybe. See, if I were to be completely without inhibition and I didn't care what other people thought and there weren't repercussions, I think I would be more of a rainbow tiger type guy, you know? Like, I don't think I would be in a fursuit, but I would wear a button-up that was like black tiger stripes and then just like rainbow gradient, you know, from collar to waist.
Very Lisa Frank core.
Exactly,
that would be you. Yes, absolutely.
I also have to say, Mary for good wingman. So at this fancy dinner, Mari he's like, hey, let's dance. And you see a couple of different pairings. Ran ends up dancing with Takumi, which is kind of nice because Ran can't dance with the twins. They're dancing with Amane. And her fellow I'm a weirdo friend from school isn't there. Mari ends up dancing with Yui, and Amane is dancing with her brothers. But then Mari pulls Yui over to Takumi and is basically like, you two dance now. And Takumi is a little embarrassed, but he managed to dance with her. And once again, Yui is just giving me strong aromantic vibes, because she just kind of like has like the little like chow question mark above her head that characters get. And then she starts dancing with him anyways, but like I really don't think that it matters to her. You know, she could be dancing with Mari, she could be dancing with Kokone, with Kokone, with Amane, with the twins. They're all the same to her, because food's what's most important in this world, not holding hands.
I will say, I think Yui does a good job of cherishing her female friends, and I wish that she cherished Takumi a little more. It doesn't have to be romantic, you know, we could get to his big confession moment, and she could be like, nah, you're nice, but you're no carrot. You know, that would be fine, but I want to see her care about him like he's a friend, instead of treating him like an afterthought.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they're going to have to reckon those feelings at some point. Like, maybe Narcistoru, or if Narcistoru is going to be fired or replaced soon, maybe Secretoru. But I think someone's going to have to play mind games with him. You know, like, oh yeah, Yui doesn't care at all, and then, you know, they'd have that heartfelt moment when they were both in the villain's lair or something, where he'd be like, I didn't think that you cared about me. And she'd be like, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, you know, communicate that. And then maybe they'll grow closer as a pair after that.
That would be pretty good, yeah. Because Boy is devoted. Boy will jump in. Also, I love that Amane is offended by his presence in the battle.
Is offended the right word for it, would you say?
I would say she was offended. She was like, it's him again. Like, it was very, what is he doing here?
Yeah, maybe.
And I guess nobody has explained to her who he is yet.
Yeah, maybe I think that they're going to pull a Amane knows something somehow about the Ku warriors, or whatever they're called, the Ku warriors. But yeah, they're definitely alluding to this kind of like, they haven't spoken or interacted yet, and when he did show up, she was kind of like, oh, it's him again. I'm just curious where that's going to go.
They're gonna fight over Yui's attention.
Yeah, maybe. We also got a brilliant moment of Ran, Yui, and Takumi / Black Pepper trying to hold off the Ubazao in this episode, while Kokone and Amane talked about their feelings and grew closer. And afterwards, you see all three of them just like, because they went all out and they used up all of their strength and they're kind of head empty. But it was a very cute episode. It was a very funny episode in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Do you have any other thoughts you want to add before we move on to Doki Doki / Glitter Force?
No, I really think that's everything.
Excellent. So Doki Doki.
Yes.
Like we mentioned, the two episodes that we watched, Glitter Force notwithstanding, were really about Cure Sword and her becoming a member of the team, which I thought would happen a lot later in the season, but okay, she's here now, we're friends. But she's got very tsundere vibes. Like, she's not willing to say, I wanted to be friends with you, so I came to visit. She's like, I just wanted to see how these people lived. So she arranged for them to film the show specifically at Mana's
the Boar's
family
Tale
restaurant.
Or whatever it's called. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I really like Mana winning her over with just her general Mana vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like the fact that the manager, who we now know as Dabi, is trying to look out for Makoto, but maybe like doesn't know how to handle Makoto's, I guess, feelings is the right word for it. And we got a little bit of a hint to some kind of a backstory with Makoto. And I mean, obviously, the very first episode, we saw Cure Sword being like, no, I failed or whatever. But she is a pop idol, and she wants her music to reach someone. And she used the very common Japanese that person, which shows up a lot in One Piece.
And it was a silhouette, but it was clearly a silhouette of like a feminine figure. And there's still this princess that we don't know where she is. So like, obviously, Cure Sword is in love with the princess, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes I'm somewhat perceptive, and sometimes I'm as dumb as a sack of potatoes. Like, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, how did you like these episodes?
I liked them a lot. I like Cure Sword's whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's purple. She swords.
Yeah.
You know, no objections here. Her henshin phrase is, The blade of courage, cure sword. I, cure sword, shall sever your ambitions with the blade of love. So that's awesome.
Pretty hardcore.
It's so hardcore. Why can't more cures have swords? Same reason they can't punch stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But we did, in the first episode that we were watching, the one where we still didn't know whether she was Cure Sword or not, and Mana hadn't won over Makoto to her side, they tried to fight the Disdain, which was a star creature. Get it? Like the star of the show. And then the lights go off, and Cure Sword appears. We don't see any kind of transformation, so we, the viewers, don't even know if it's Makoto or not. But she's able to fight the star creature blind, like by closing her eyes, because the star creature would use a bright light to disorient the other people, but Cure Sword just kind of closed her eyes and fought without seeing, and she's like, I don't need to use my eyes to fight a monster like this. So I'm just very curious, does she have like a hockey ability like from One Piece, or is it just like she's so good at fighting that these low-level mooks aren't enough for her?
She's just awesome,
yeah,
is what she is. Do you get kind of Night vibes from her? Like between her and knowing there's this mysterious princess?
Yeah, maybe. I thought you meant night like nighttime, and I was like, not really, but yeah, I could see her being a sacred knight or whatever.
She's not a Cure Moonlight, although she is a tsundere purple.
Yeah, I think purple just has certain connotations in maybe Japanese, either the culture as a whole, or this, like, in Toei it represents a specific kind of feeling or something.
I could see that. Oh, you know what? As long as we're talking about colors, I'm going to go off on a quick tangent here. So, I know that the fandom as a whole still fights over what colors Lala and Uni are from Star Twinkle. Listen to me very carefully. The fight is over. They self-identified as green for Lala and blue for Uni. That's it. That's all. It's over.
Do you, like, was there a specific time when this happened?
It was in the Halloween episode, when they are the, was it Kirahoshi?
The Mihoshi.
Mihoshi, thank you. They were the Mihoshi stars, and Lala says Mihoshi green, and then Uni says Mihoshi blue.
Yeah, no.
They're green and blue. They're green and blue. It's done. You're done.
Here's the thing, though.
Where?
Nobody's going to listen. If people want to continue fighting about this, they're just going to be like, nah, that doesn't count.
No, babe. I have it on good authority that when people listen to podcasts or YouTube videos, they just automatically believe whatever the person on the mic says. Because having a microphone gives you authority.
You know what? In light of that, since you said that to me on a podcast that I will then listen to during editing, you're right. I've been convinced to your side.
Excellent.
And there's no flaws in your logic there.
Kathryn wins!
Kathryn always wins.
Is that Zoidberg that I just did? Is it a Zoidberg wins?
I think so, maybe? I can't remember that specific line from him, but that definitely feels like a Zoidberg quote.
Anyway, we can go back to Doki Doki now. I'm really enjoying this season. It might be one of my favorites, and I'm actually really enjoying Glitter Force as well. Like, the Doki Doki Glitter Force is hilarious. I don't think they meant for it to be hilarious, but it is. It's probably one of the funniest things I've watched this year.
I think in some places you can tell that they are clearly trying to be hilarious. That, you know, there's a lot of sarcastic quips, as we mentioned when we reviewed the first episode, but there are other places where it's just, it's pretty good, you know? I will say that so far, the only content we've seen cut is episode 2, which was when Rika wanted to be, let me be your sparrow. That was cut entirely. It just skips to the part where Mana's like, hey, I'm, you know, Cure whatever, and you should believe me. But I'm curious to see what else gets cut as we get further in the series. If there's a season where, like, a character, I don't know, gets stabbed or something, or Cure Heart dies, I'll be very interested to see how they edit that and what they do in its place. But so far, it's pretty one-to-one, you know, it follows.
Yeah, and I mean, because of the way the episodes are cut, we didn't see the episode where she goes and she cooks at the girls. I see she, Cure Sword. We didn't see her going to cook at Mana's house, and that's the one where Belle sends them to hell.
Yeah.
And that feels like kind of an important moment. So if they cut that, they're going to have to cut just like the entire thing.
Yeah. So what I will say is I found a post on Crunchyroll of someone talking about what episodes they're going to cover when, and as far as I know, it's a pretty comprehensive list. That's why we didn't watch Glitter Force Doki Doki Episode 2 along with Doki Doki Episode 2, because Glitter Force Doki Doki is actually Episode 3, right? So the list, when I looked at it, said that they combined Episode 6, the cooking episode, with whatever Episode 7 is, into one episode of Glitter Force. So next week we'll be watching that episode, and we'll see how much they cut. Maybe they do entirely get rid of the dark dimension or wherever they're sent, or maybe they just shorten the cooking segment of the episode to better get to the action that is whatever. Looking ahead, because we normally later in the episode go into that, but it's usually for Delicious Party, where do you think they actually got sent?
The evil bowling alley.
You think so? You think you just kidnapped them to where they hang out?
Have we mentioned that, by the way? The generals for this season seem to live in an evil bowling alley. And you might be wondering why bowling, and I'll answer that. It's because bowling sucks.
How dare you? You
Bowling
take that
sucks.
back.
No, bowling is loud. Bowling is loud, and it's like as fun as golf.
No, there's more fun to be had in bowling because you can get excited about the pins getting knocked down.
You can be excited about the ball going in the cup. If I gave you a choice between mini golf and bowling, are you telling me you'd choose bowling?
Well, mini golf is different. It has brightly colored golf balls. And it has, like, obstacles, and you can, like, do angles and stuff. Like, if my option was to go to the driving course, the driving range, I think it's called, or bowling, I would go bowling. Of course I would.
What if I told you that every ball on the driving range, I had taped a picture of your most hated enemy's face? I won't say his name on the podcast, but, like, I'm sending you brainwaves. He loves lobsters.
See, I don't actually know which of the two people that I'm thinking of I actually dislike more. There's lobsters, and then there's the real estate selling to Aquaman individual, you know? So,
Yep.
But no, I still, like, I'm sorry. Golf is boring. It is. Mini golf is okay because they spice it up. They add some extra flavoring. But no, I don't like golf, and I do like bowling. I will defend bowling.
Okay, well, you and I are going to go to the Family Fun Center and do all the things because they've got mini golf and bowling and laser tag, which I'm super good at and I love.
Absolutely.
Back to the episode. Once again, I just want to shout out a line from Bell-sama. He said, "This world won't see your light ever again." So they're definitely in another world, to answer your question as to where they went. And to me, like, I doubt he has the power to send them to a good place, so he probably just was like, what if I just schlorp them into the bowling alley of doom?
Well, so here's my thing. I legitimately do not know what happens for the rest of this season. It could turn out that Cure Sword is a double agent working for the bad guys or whatever. But we still don't know what Cure Sword's story is, and in fact, we don't even really know what the Doki Doki team is trying to accomplish. Because at first it was, let's find PreCure for these other fairies. Then it was, we need to find Cure Sword, and now we finally got the gang together, but we still don't know what is happening. So my guess is he probably sent them to whatever apocalyptic landscape we saw in episode 1 with Cure Sword, and they're going to be trapped there, and everything's going to be destroyed, and Mon's going to be like, what is this? And Makoto will be like, this is my dark past, this is my vengeance, this is my goal. And then as they grow closer together, they'll unlock maybe like a team attack that they can use to escape out of this weird destroyed dimension, or whatever you would call it.
Okay, yeah. I'm on board with that. I'm excited for the next episode.
Alternatively, Bell sent them into a closet, and then he closed the door and he put a little broom in the handle, and they're not going to be able to get out. They're just going to be stuck in there.
Why was the closet in the floor?
No. He opened a portal and they fell through the portal, and then the other end of the portal was in the top of the closet. Because if he threw them in the closet, there'd be a chance that, like, Mana would get out as he was throwing Rika in, but if they all fall in through the ceiling, then there's no chance for any of them to, like, jump out.
Oh,
you know?
Okay. You know what else is interesting? The PreCure, because they were sent to hell, they couldn't undo the damage to the restaurant.
Really? Interesting. See, I think, as far as I remember, and see, we watched these episodes earliest out of all of these episodes that we're talking about today, but I thought that the reverse damage Uno card was automatically played when they defeated the disdain.
Oh, when they defeated the pig selfish. Yeah. Okay. I think you're right, actually. But, I mean, Belle could just walk around and knock stuff off shelves.
Just goes over and just, like, kicks Mana's dad over. She just takes, like, a baseball bat to Alice's... Sebastian. He actually has a name. So does Mana's dad, but I don't know it.
Is this a rare plant you've got here? Pulls the leaves off of it. I think it's kind of ugly. It should have more leaves.
We will also say that Belle in the English dub in Glitter Force, he is just such a sassy badass. Ira is complaining like, I got beaten by the PreCure, and Belle just goes, you were defeated by a little girl. And he goes, no, a second PreCure shows up. And he goes, oh, 2 little girls. No wonder you got defeated. Belle, you are ruthless.
I love him so much.
Show some mercy on the child.
Yeah, no, he's wonderful. Also, quick theory time for Doki Doki. We mentioned that we know for a fact the generals are based off of the deadly sins, but we don't know which ones. I noticed that Ira's selfishes are all made out of people who are feeling like wrathful, whereas what's her name?
Marmo. Such a silly name. I keep wanting to call her like Mel, but Marmo's selfish, the one that she's made like visibly on screen, was from a place of envy. So I think he's wrath, she's envy, and I still think that Belle is sloth. Again, like, he didn't even bother to fight them himself. He just sent them to hell. Yeah, I think we're gonna get more about Belle going on. So we haven't seen Smile, but we did see the Doki Doki or the Glitter Force version, and there was a character who could not have more obviously been like secret villain waiting for the others to get defeated to take over type of a situation, kind of like Starscream from Transformers. And I wonder if that's Belle's situation here. Like, the reason he's not fighting is he's actually so powerful that fighting the PreCure right now isn't worth his time, but once these idiots start failing, he'll step in and he'll fix it, but he has his own scheme that's going on, I think. That's the impression I get from him.
Okay, I could see that. I was looking for a picture of him to send to a fellow old man appreciator on Twitter, and I saw a piece of fan art of him and the other generals just, like, being a family and having a goofy time, and I love them so much.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're wonderful. That's why they're in the bowling alley, because they're having a family bonding
They're
night.
hanging out? Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Where else are you gonna go in hell?
Oh, man.
Do you think, if they're based off of the deadly sins, do you think that the final boss for this season is gonna be the devil? Like, the actual devil? Heartcatch had a demon in it.
Heartcatch had the actual devil, and he was out in space, so I don't think Doki Doki would do that. You know, it's kind of like they wouldn't retread. We've already had the devil show up, and he was a worm off the string.
What will he do? What sins will he do?
But that about wraps it up for now, I think.
Do you want to talk about Glitter Force now, or do you want to move on to Max Heart? Like, do you have anything to say about Glitter Force?
No, I feel like we mostly covered Glitter Force.
Okay, I did figure out why they changed Raquel, the little blue fairy's name.
Really?
To something entirely different. Yeah, because they changed Rika's name to Rachel, and Rachel and Raquel are basically the same name.
Oh,
so
I see.
Been too similar.
Okay.
I still don't know why Alice became Clara. It's something for me to Google, I guess. I try not to Google PreCure shows that I'm watching, because chances are high that they'll spoil something.
Oh, you know what? There is one more moment that I wanted to shout out that I forgot about. When they arrive at the recording studio and Makoto / Mackenzie is singing her song, Rika asks Alice, what's the plan? And Alice just kind of goes, oh, I don't have a plan. Rika's like, you don't have a plan? And Alice goes, I assume Mana will figure something out. And yeah, Mana did figure something out. Just go up to the girl that you think is a PreCure and say, hey, I'm a PreCure, you're a PreCure, we should be friends. Mana, you gave me such a good impression in the first episode. Now you're showing that you're kind of an idiot.
We thought she was the only smart pink cure, and it turns out there are no smart pink cures.
No such thing. Absolutely not.
All right, Max Heart. they got the new glitter bracers. That's kind of cool. Is that what you wanted or expected from this big fetch quest they went on?
Okay. So, Nosferatu shows up, they try to defeat him, he overpowers them. That was still a 0 on the give a shitometer, right? I still didn't care, because they've had other episodes where they're like, this character is just too strong, and by the end of the episode, they win anyways. So I didn't really care. Then they were able to bring back Intelligent, who I'm on record as saying is one of my favorite Hardy Elves, and she has a Book of Wisdom, and I'm like, okay, so they're actually using these plot devices from earlier in the season, so my give a shitometer went up to like a 1 out of 10. Then they went on this, like, the shadow of the lion yawns in the 3 stars of the morning dew. And my thought was, so this is just kind of like a random... It's like, solve this riddle and you'll get power. And that made my number go down, again, on the give a shitometer, because it's just a riddle, right? They're not actually being tested in any way that makes sense. And then, when Nosferatu absorbs all the life force and everything gets destroyed... And Nagisa and Honoka are like, we won't let you, and we're gonna fight, and we're keeping a promise, and life is important. And then they're rewarded with the power. It's the first time I felt like the Futariwa girls have actually done a thing. And so, yes, it ended up being what I wanted, but I was very worried up until the moment that it happened, because I thought it was just gonna be, oh, we found a rock shaped like a lion. That proves our worth. How? How does that prove anything?
Yeah, no, on one hand, I expected it to be new merch, basically, right? The thing they get at the end of this fetch quest. On the other hand, I wish it would have been more, you know, because this is like the 3rd time they've gotten a different version of their, like, bracelet thing.
Yeah, in the first season, it was just Polun being like, accept my light, Polun! And I don't know why he can't do that in this season, but now they have an even stronger version of it.
Yep. So there's that. The one moment from this episode that was interesting to me, specifically because of my theories around Hikari and the Antichrist, was when we see his drawing, and he's drawn Hikari, but then he's scribbled half of her out in, like, the purple color that represents the shadows.
Zagama and stuff, yeah, absolutely.
So...
yeah, maybe she'll just eat him. You know, like maybe in the second to last episode, he'll achieve power and actually be a character beyond little boy who wants to go outside. And he'll turn into, like, the demon prince, and he'll be like, I have ultimate power. And then Hikari will just, like, calmly walk up to him, unhinge her mouth, and then just, like, swallow him whole. And then the plot will just be resolved and everyone will dance, you know?
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable, personally.
Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, he's fine, but he's no worm off the string.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's
not
hard to... I do wonder, now that they've gotten their upgraded bracer, I wonder if the bad guys are going to try to do anything to make themselves stronger. You know, will Dracula sacrifice his left arm in order to become the true darkness? I don't know.
Dracula, your arm! Consider this an investment in the future.
But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the bad guys also got a power-up in order to be able to stay on the same level as their enemy, you know?
Absolutely.
But I'm still bored. Of this season.
No, I also am bored. So that's pretty much all my thoughts about Max Heart. Are we ready for... We changed it to Doki Doki Heartfelt messages. That is a lot. What about love letters?
Okay, Doki Doki love letters. We need the word Doki Doki in there because it's Maya's favorite phrase. Oh, Maya, you strange and random girl coming up with nonsense phrases that you stole directly from the Japanese.
My good luck phrase is itadakimasu. All right, so we already covered Ayu's thoughts when you went into her saying it wasn't so much PreCure broke the formula as it was PreCure became synonymous with magical girls for everyone.
Yeah, and they didn't realize that it was going to go for, 19 seasons at this point, so.
Right. Although there was a moment when you guys were watching the Mackenzie Doesn't Know How to Cook episode, not Mackenzie, Makoto, where they commented in the Discord, oh, you guys are watching that episode.
That is true. That is true.
So I thought that was pretty funny. Do you want to share James's thoughts?
Absolutely. His Doki Doki thoughts were just, Makoto breaking the eggs was hilarious. We didn't go into detail. You should watch episode 6 of Doki Doki PreCure. But if you haven't seen it, Makoto does not know how to wash the potatoes. She uses like soap detergent or dishwasher detergent. And everyone's like, no. And then there's something else she messes up before that. There's a second one. Oh, she cuts with the force of a samurai and cuts the cutting board in half when she's trying to chop the meat. And so then they're like, give her a crack the egg because that's a really easy one. And she just takes like 4 eggs in one hand, 3 or 4 eggs in the other hand, and just smashes them together. And Rika goes like, do you think she was like trying to make a joke? And Mana goes, no, look into her eyes. She was dead serious. And I love this idea that this colorful, bright, hopeful show about, my heart will cure your greediness, just has like I can sense her killing intent. She meant to destroy those eggs.
It was so good. I love this season. Like, it's a little silly, but in the best way.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going. James also liked this week's episode of Delicious Party. He said he liked the message of consideration. And, he agreed with Amane. Yui and Ran don't have any manners, and they should learn them. Scrunkly little creatures.
I will say, I'm glad that we had an episode where they're like, Ran, you're weird, and she continues to say weird things. Because sometimes, and I think we talked about this maybe in the Sweet episode that we recorded, but sometimes you have a character who only has like a certain trait when the episode's about them. But if you have a character who demonstrates that personality trait at all times, it feels more like it's actually part of their character. And so if we had an episode where they're like, Ran is weird, and then she basically acted kind of like more or less normal for the rest of the season, it'd be like, you just made that up. You just wanted to have an episode that was about Ran, so you made up that she's weird. But in this episode, Ran was weird in such a way that it caused Amane psychic damage. And I think that works. I think that was really nice.
That was fantastic. And it looks like Ran is going to continue her weirdness into next week's episode.
Absolutely.
Which is entitled, Save the Taste, Ran's Japanese Sweets Mission.
Okay, so clearly... Oh, sorry.
So do you know what this reminds me of? I have a friend, not a friend, an acquaintance on Twitter, who described a sandwich that she ate. And she said this was the most incredible sandwich she'd ever had. And she couldn't remember the name of it. And no matter what she searched, she couldn't find it on any other recipe website or any other restaurant's menu. And she'd been trying to recreate it for years, and she couldn't figure out how. So I think that's what this is about. I think there's probably like a specialty Japanese sweet shop in town, and they're closing for some reason. And Rand's like, no, I remember the taste of the matcha bean paste, and I will make it happen again.
I can't let it end like this. See, I'm on a very similar vibe. I think that it's most likely that either Ran has a childhood memory of some flavor and she's trying to remember where it came from, or because she's the social media girl, maybe someone will post like, oh, this flavor is so good, what could it, like, maybe it'll be like a contest where you have to figure out where she bought the candy from, and Ran will try to be the one to unravel the mystery. But yeah, it sounds like another good, just kind of like standalone episode, and I'm all for it, honestly.
All right, so you've heard of crack theories. Now get ready for a crack question.
All right.
How many episodes do you think we have until Amane and Yusuke Urameshi have their ultimate fist fight, brawl, showdown?
Oh, where they both declare their love for Yui and it's last one standing wins kind of a situation?
Exactly. And what do you think that's going to look like? Like, will it happen in the middle of a fight with New Bowser, or will they wait until they're in street clothes again to throw down?
I don't know why, but for some reason the way you said Ubaozo, I thought you said a new Bowser, and I was like, what's wrong with the one we currently have? King of the Koopas, man. Yeah,
he's perfect.
he's a great character. I think that if they have a conflict, it's going to be in the middle of a fight, and it's going to cause them to lose to the Ubaozo, whatever it's called.
Ubaozo.
But I don't know. I think that it'll probably happen as Narcistoru is driven into a corner. So I keep mentioning that maybe he'll be fired by Secretoru. At the beginning of this episode, she's on an iPad looking at all of the Ubizaos that Narcistoru has summoned, and they've all been defeated. And she basically is like, you need to bring results. And they have like this kind of tense moment when they're supposed to be doing the fist bump thing, or the boondaroo. And it could be that he wasn't showing manners, but it could also be that she's dissatisfied with the results that he's bringing. And so I assume in another episode or two, he will unleash some kind of desperate plan. And as they're trying to overcome this monster, a fight will ensue between Amane and Takame.
You know what else?
What's that?
Secretoru, when the moment finally comes, Secretoru is going to put him in one of those boxes that they've been capturing peepees in.
Oh.
And the girls are going to be like, that was your ally! And she's going to be like, that was my employee.
Absolutely. There was some talk in the PreCure server about like, okay, let's say that Narcistoru gets taken out, I don't know, next episode, right? That's episode 21. The season's probably going to have like 45 episodes. Do we just have 24 episodes with Secretoru? And so that doesn't sound right. And so some of them were speculating, and I agree that there's probably going to be a secret final boss. So maybe Godats will show up episode, I don't know, 30 or something, but he'll be defeated, or they or she or it or whatever will be defeated episode 35, and then the last 14 episodes will get like the true evil villain.
Right, yeah, we've got Godats, and then we'll meet Godies.
Godies?
Godies nuts!
And
got him!
That's gotta be your final thought. Doot. Outro goes here. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you all for joining us for another delicious plateful of
Cure of the What Now.
Please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Or if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment, a like, or lick that subscribe bell so you know when the new episodes are going up.
Did you just say lick it?
Well, yeah, we're baking delicious foods. It's a delicious party.
Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at PirateGhostHost. Please don't lick me.
Can you even lick a ghost? I'm on Twitter at Kotwin_pod.
KOTWN_pod.
Absolutely. And as always, the Discord link is in the Twitter bio and also in the YouTube description.
Come join us for weekly discussions, streams, and all of the PreCure your heart can handle. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yum. Or no, I'm full!